Assalamualaikum and good day. So welcome to this another episode of our lesson. Hi, I am Asraf Kurangking again from Bacayuan National High School under the division of Lanao del Sur 2. So welcome to Grade 9 Science. Our topic for this video is about how ions are formed. But before we proceed to our lesson, here is the learning competency and the objective for this lesson. Ions are found in our planet and even found in our entire universe. Our atmosphere contains an overdose of positive ions, while our ground contains an overdose of negative ions. Accordingly, the ratio of ions is 5 positive ions to 4 negative ions. Upsetting this natural ratio causes negative effects. An increase of positive ions will cause harms and negative effects, while increasing the negative ions will cause more benefits. For example, an overdose of positive ions can give us a feeling of lethargy and depression, and can even cause us headaches, itchy eyes, cold, and cough. On humid and dusty days, an overdose of positive ions are produced. This is because the negative charges attach themselves to the dust particles and the moisture, thus losing their charges. For the effects of the negative ions, we can actually experience them in many places. For instance, when we are in the mountains or in the hills where there is less dust, we can feel rested and calm. Also, when we are near the seashore or near the waterfalls, we feel good because of the water movement wherein it generates an overdose of negative ion. In addition, you will actually feel refreshed and vigorous after a storm because the air is clean and fresh. It is because after a storm, there is an overdose of negative ions. That is the tension and the pressure that makes us feel full of energy. Okay, so for this activity, you will be needing pen and a piece of paper to classify the following ions. You're going to identify or classify them, which of them belongs to cations and which of them belongs to anions. You may pause this video to finalize your answer, and then right after with your finalizing your answer, you can play it to reveal the correct answer. Okay, so here is the final answer. Did you get them correctly? Awesome for those who got them right. Okay, so what is an ion? Ions are particles carrying either positive or negative charges. A positive ion or cations are formed when an atom loses an electron or electrons, while a negative ion or an ion is formed when an atom gains electron or electrons. So there are two categories of ions. They are the monoatomic ions and the polyatomic ions. When we say monoatomic ions, it is actually an ion formed when a single atom loses or gains electron, while polyatomic ion is formed from group of atoms held together by a covalent bond through a loss or gain of electron. Okay, so from the previous activity as shown here, these ions belongs to monoatomic ions. So here are the example of polyatomic ions. Question number 2 is, how do ions are formed? There are properties that describe why atoms are ionizing. Number 1, we have this what we call the electronegativity. Electronegativity is the measure of tendency of an atom to attract a bonding pair of electrons. Metals have low electronegativity, while nonmetals have high electronegativity. This implies that nonmetals attract more bonding pair of electrons than that of the metallic elements. The next one is the ionization energy. When we say ionization energy, it is an energy needed to remove or pull one or more electron from a neutral atom. The lower the ionization energy is, the easier it is to remove an electron from the neutral atom. So again, nonmetals have high ionization energy while the metals have low ionization energy. That is why metals tend to lose electrons because they have low ionization energy and it is easier for them to remove one or more electrons. Electrons normally exist in the lowest energy state called the ground state. When an electron goes into higher energy state, it is said to be in excited state. Excitation is achieved by supplying energy to the atom from the external sources. As you can see in the example, the reason why the ions are formed are governed by what we call the octet rule. The concept of octet rule goes like this. In forming compounds, the atoms of elements lose, gains, or shares electrons in such a way as to produce noble gas electron configuration for each atom involved.
Halimbawa, yung sodium at saka yung chlorine, maaari silang maka-attain ng noble gas electron configuration sa dalawang paraan. Halimbawa, si sodium, pwede niya gayahin si neon, kung saan ito ay maglulus or magbibigay ng electron. Or pwede niya gayahin si argon na kung saan siya ay mangangailangan ng 7 electron. Kay chlorine naman, maaari niya gayahin yung electron configuration ni neon kung ito ay maglulus or magbibitaw siya ng 7 electron. Or, pwede niya gayahin si argon na kung saan ito ay mangangailangan ng isa lamang electron. Ngunit, kung saan mas maliit yung electron na maglulus or magigain, ayun yung magiging pabor sa mga atoms. So, in the case ni sodium, mas pabor sa kanya na magbitaw na lang ng isang electron kaysa sa kumuha pa ng 7 electron. In the case of chlorine, mas pabor sa kanya ng kumuha ng isang electron kaysa sa magbitaw siya ng 7 electrons.
For example, let us explore the sodium and the oxygen atoms when they are undergoing ionization.
As you can see from the planetary model of the sodium atom, the outer shell has only one electron which is almost empty at malayong marating ang electron configuration ni argon. That is why bibitawan na lang niya itong outer electron niya kasabay ng pagkawala ng kanyang last orbital or outer shell. Kaya lumiit ito after mag-ionize. Nang bitawan nito ang kanyang electron ay mas dumami ang proton compare sa kanyang number of electron. So using the simple math, we have 11 positive and 10 negative, then it will yield a net charge of positive 1. So for the oxygen atom naman, neutrally, it has 8 protons and it has a corresponding 8 number of electrons. Pag mag-ionize, the proton will remain but the number of electron ay dumarami siya because pag nag-ionize ang oxygen, kakailanganin niya ng electrons. So since kunti lang ang kakailanganin niyang electron, kaya din niya bibitawan ito, yung kanyang valence electron or outermost electrons. So sa kanyang outermost shell ay nangangailangan ito ng dalawa lang na electron para makomplete ang kanyang pinakamalapit na noble gas configuration. So ngayon, meron na siyang 2 and then 8 configuration. So using the simple math, meron itong positive 8 for the number of protons and then meron itong negative 10 electrons. So it will yield a net charge of negative 2. That is why the oxygen atom has a negative 2 charge.
Now that we have understood the concept of ion and how do ions are formed, the next question will be this. How do we determine the number of ionic charge? So by this time, we will be using the electron configuration, as it is the way the electrons are arranged in the subshells of an atom. But take note that each subshell has a different maximum capacity. So for each subshell, we have the S it has maximum of 2 electron capacity. For the P, we have 6 maximum electron capacity. For the D, it has only 10. And for the F, it has 14 maximum electron capacity.
So here is the trends of the blocks in the periodic table where we can find the S, P, D, and F blocks. Elements under the S and the P blocks are called the representative elements, while the elements located under the D and the F blocks are called the transitional elements. The order of subshell filling is given by following the diagonal arrows, starting on the left side. The 1S subshell fills first. The second arrow points to the 2S subshell, which fills next. The third arrow points to the both 2P and 3S subshells, and the 2P will be filled first, followed by the 3S. Or the electron configuration can be written in an orderly form as indicated. For example, we are asked to give the electron configuration of magnesium. First, identify its atomic number in order to determine available electron in the magnesium. Then, distribute the number of electron to the superscript of the subshell until completed. Since magnesium has 12 atomic number, therefore it has 12 number of electrons. So, first, fill the 1s2, followed by 2s2, and then 2p6. So, yung electrons na 12 ay hahatiin natin sa mga subshells. So, nakasampung electron na tayo hanggang sa 2p6. So, meron pang natitirang 12. So, ilagay natin yan sa superscript ng susunod na subshell, which is the 3s2. So, ngayon, ang electron configuration ng magnesium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, and 3s2. So, kindly pause this video to answer the activity number 2 and then play it when you are done. Here is the correct answer.
Now that we have understood the concept of electron configuration and how to write the electron configuration of each element, the question is, what can we get from it? We will be using the electron configuration in determining the valence electron of each element. So what is a valence electron? Valence electrons are the electrons found in the subshells of the highest principal quantum number n. They are the outermost shell of the representative and the noble gas elements. The valence electron of an atom will tell us what type of ion will it possess. Okay, so take note that the rule to determine the valence electron does not apply to the transitional elements. Determining the valence of electron will only be applicable to the representative elements. Those elements that are found in the S block and the P blocks in the periodic table of elements. Okay, so here is the example of the elements with their corresponding valence electrons.
Another way of determining the ionic charge of an element or atom is the oxidation state or oxidation number. May mga naka-assign na oxidation numbers sa bawat group in the periodic table at mas madali ito sa lahat. Basta alam mo lang kung saan ang position ng element sa periodic table ay malalaman mo agad ang kaniyang ionic charge. For example, in the group 1A elements, meron itong positive 1 charge, group 2A has positive 2, group 3 has positive 3, group 4 ay either positive or negative 4, and then group 5A elements has negative 3, group 6 has negative 2, and then group 7 has negative 1, and then the last group, which is the group 8A elements, has 0 kasi wala silang charge. They are the noble gases.
So now that you have understood the concept of the valence of electron, it will help us to another lesson. So for this next lesson, it is called the Lewis symbol. So in order to determine the Lewis symbol of an atom or an element, we have to apply the knowledge on the valence of electron. So what is Lewis symbol? Lewis symbol is a chemical symbol of an element surrounded by dots. equal to the number of valence electrons present in an atom of an element. So here are the example of the Lewis symbols. So this is how to write the Lewis symbol of an element. So for the example of the oxygen atom, remember that it has 6 valence electrons. In drawing the Lewis symbol of the oxygen atom, kailangan i-distribute natin sa 4 sides of the symbol. And then after that, kailangan hindi sabay-sabay, kailangan one at a time. So since meron itong 6 valence electrons, so yung 6 na dots ay i-distribute natin sa 4 sides. So dito yung first, pwedeng dito yung second, pwedeng dito yung third, and then fourth. And then, remember, may dalawa pa. So, pwedeng dito yung pang 5th. At yung pang 6th, pwedeng dito, or pwede dito. So, as long as na-distribute natin yung 6 na valence electrons in the 4 sides of its symbol.
So for the activity number 4, kindly post this video and draw the possible Lewis dot forms of the following elements. This is the answers for the activity number 4.
So here are the another importance of the ions. Okay, so in order to test your understanding about this topic, I want you to get your pen again and an extra sheet of paper to answer this assessment or evaluation. So you may post the video so that you can answer them correctly. Right after, final answer will be revealed to you.
Now here is the answer for the assessment.
Okay, so this is the end of this episode. So I hope you have learned something from it. And I hope to see you on the next episode. Bye!